Let me just read the BJEE article. They probably translated everything anyway. It says on November 15th of November 2025, the Brazilian jiu-jitsu community was shaken to its core. After nearly 3 long years, countless delays, and a trial that many hoped would finally bring closure, a Sao Paulo jury delivered a verdict no one expected. Henrique Otávio Oliveira Veloso, the police officer accused of shooting Leandro Lowe, the police officer that did shoot Leandro Lowe, was acquitted. The jury accepted self-defense as the justification for the killing. We did talk about this in Brazil. I guess some of the laws were changed when Bolsonaro was in office, which was around the same time, I believe. He says, I wonder if Brazilian newspapers, they say porra. Jamie Jam, please, Jamie Jam. All right, Jamie Jam, you getting paused, bro. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you, bro. You getting paused, bro. LL Snap, are you here? Do you see what Jamie Jam's posting? LL Snap, do you see what Jamie Jam's posting over here? His name is James Barrett. Well, he doing worse. Look at the stuff he's posting. I almost halfway missed Josiah over Jimmy Jam. Where is it? I just LOL Snap. Do you see what Jimmy Jam's posting? LOL Snap. Where are you? He's over there defending Jimmy Jam. Self-defense. The reaction was immediate. Disbelief, anger, and heartbreak. For Lowe's family, his students, his teammates, and thousands of followers around the world, the verdict felt like a second loss, one deeper than the first. A night that changed everything. The tragic incident took place. This is AI, ChatGPT. He says, people act like they can't be searched and found. Oh, Dance or Die. Did you actually look him up? Jimmy Jam, why he looking? He can't. Jimmy Jam, he put you in the system. He found you. Jimmy Jam, quiet. Jimmy Jam, why you quiet now? Jimmy Jam, he found your name. Be quiet. What happened, Jimmy Jam? I didn't do that. Dance Hard or Die did that. The killer's a purple belt. Do you think he'll keep training? I don't know. Should I answer that? I probably shouldn't answer that. I might say the wrong thing. The tragic incident took place on August 2022 inside a Sao Paulo nightclub where what began as a heated confrontation escalated rapidly. Witnesses say a brief dispute broke out. Leandro Lowe, known for his calm approach and ability to diffuse conflict, reportedly restrained Veloso to neutralize the situation. No, bro. We see everything. We can see everything. LL Snap, where are you? Please read Jimmy Jam's messages. No, we see everything you posting, bro. Everything. I'm waiting for LL Snap to look at you first. He might be on break though. Moments after being released, Veloso allegedly drew a. Why do they keep saying allegedly? People saw you. People can see you kill in cold blood, and they don't. He says, "I got nothing to hide. My YouTube profile is public, and my name is Ian. Hey, Ian, Mr. Dance Hard or Die. I'm not looking up. I don't look anybody up really, except for he who shall not be named, because we were doing wellness check on him. He said it's okay. Nah, bro, you posted some crazy stuff over here, bro. Veloso allegedly drew a firearm and shot Lowe in the head at point blank range. That sounds like self-defense, right? Sounds like self-defense. Oh, this is terrible. I'm sorry, Leandro. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the Brazilian justice system. American justice system is I can't really say much about us either, though. The act stunned everyone present. It was the kind of violence nobody imagined would end the life of one of jiu-jitsu's greatest champions. So the act of self-defense was violence. I hope there's a retrial or something, but it took 3 years for this verdict to come out. It says, inside the trial, a triple qualified homicide charge and a stunning defense. Veloso was indicted for triple qualified homicide, a severe charge reflecting the brutality of the act. But his legal team pursued one strategy relentlessly: self-defense. Despite the context, and despite Lowe being unarmed, the jury ultimately sided with the defendant. They might have been paid off. Says it was worse what happened to Marcelo Bering back in the day. What happened to him? What happened to Marcelo Bering? Despite the witness accounts, despite the context, despite Lowe being unarmed, the jury ultimately sided with the defendant. That sounds like a setup. What happened after the shooting? The details that emerged in the aftermath only deepened the outrage. Multiple witnesses testified that after firing the fatal shot, Veloso kicked Leandro Lowe twice in the head. He offered no aid, made no attempt to help, and did not contact emergency services. He then left the scene, reportedly going to a brothel, before turning himself in hours later. I feel like there's some jealousy in this. He says people kill and grape here and get very little time. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Oh, wow. In America, that would be it. You wouldn't have made it out of the club. Where were Leandro's homeboys at? I guess he wasn't partying with real friends, but yeah, if that was my friend, somebody shot my friend, you ain't making out the club, bro. That's it. We not making it out the club. We shouldn't have been in the club anyway. But you're not making out that club, bro. I'm chasing you down. If you get my homeboy, I'm chasing you down. All right, here we go. Now he might have got me too, though. And in Brazil, he would have got off for self-defense. Killed 2 people. He got off for self-defense. How many people can you kill before they're like, all right, that wasn't self-defense? Yeah, it's a sad situation, bro. I'm not trying to make jokes of it. He offered no aid, got caught at a brothel before turning himself in hours later. To many observers, these actions were incompatible with any claim of self-defense, yet the verdict still stood. A community in mourning. Leandro Lowe was not just a champion, he was a symbol of what was best in the sport: humility, strength, leadership, joy, inspiration. He won inside the mats and outside of them, becoming a role model for younger athletes and a legend for the entire PGA world. The shock of his death in 2022 was devastating, but for many, the 2025 verdict feels even more painful because it signifies a failure of the justice system they hoped would honor his memory. We have a lot of us are from America. We got a couple people in Brazil. Spirit of Justice. He's in Brazil. He understands a lot better what's going on over there. In America, we think everything works the same way here that it does there, and that's not the case. In certain other countries, you can pay people off. You can pay they used to do that in America too. They still do that in America. You can buy the jury off. You can buy the judge off. You can buy the defenders. You can buy the lawyers off. You buy everybody off if you have enough money. And that guy had connections. He had better connections than Leandro. He was a police officer. I believe his family was high up. They weren't looking for trouble, though. What are you saying, bro? Don't go looking for trouble. Who says that Leandro was looking for trouble? All the stories I heard was that the cop was messing with Leandro. Yeah, the cop was messing with those guys. Yeah, they shouldn't be. Well, Leandro was a partier, so you want me to tell him not to party? He's a partier. Terrible situation. I wish he wasn't there that night. Yeah, but that doesn't mean he was starting anything. If somebody's jealous, I'm just assuming the purple belt was jealous of Leandro. I'm just assuming that. If somebody's jealous of you and they want to hurt you and harm you and want to bring you down, what are you going to do outside of not be there around them? It says demands for justice and a legacy that will not fade. In the wake of the acquittal, an outpouring of grief has swept across social media, academies, and competitions worldwide. Lowe's family is calling for further action. The jiu-jitsu community is demanding answers, and many are questioning how a killing caught in front of witnesses could end with no accountability. But one thing remains certain: Leandro Lowe's legacy will never be erased. His impact, his spirit, and the inspiration he gave to thousands will outlive any courtroom decision. For those who loved him, trained with him, or who were moved by him, this story is not finished, not emotionally, and not morally. That don't really hold up in this world a lot of times. If human justice failed, many now hope that a higher justice will prevail, street justice. Jiu-jitsu is not a party trick. Best to walk away. That's good. That's good advice, but sometimes it doesn't happen. That's not what happened. So, did he give a public apology? Oh, that's what I was looking for. Oh. Let's check this out. Hopefully, they got him on there. Oh, bro. People in Brazil, I'm not saying I believe in street justice, but if there's some street justice out there, you guys, we're not gonna vilify you guys for that. Hopefully we can play this without getting copyright, bro. Come on, YouTube.
A sensational case. You're about to see the exclusive interview I recorded this
Sunday
Sunday
afternoon
with former Lieutenant
video.
Henrique Veloso. This week, the military police officer was acquitted by the jury court of killing fighter Leandro Lo de Madara. 3 years. This Sunday afternoon, we have access to Lieutenant Henrique Veloso. It will be his first interview after spending 3 years and 3 months in prison. How did you receive your acquittal?
I received it gratefully because the truth has been revealed to the people after so much time in silence. I had faith in the justice of the people of São Paulo, and I received it gratefully, knowing that I will now restart my life. Of course, with great humility and aware that there are people impacted. I also greatly respect the pain of all of them, but I received it with gratitude because now I have returned to be with my family.
He also got all the money for those 3 years.
In these exclusive images, Lieutenant Henrique Oliveira Veloso receives the news that he had just been acquitted. The reaction explains the moment. It's inevitable to go back in time. In the early morning of August 7, 2022, during a show in the southern zone of São Paulo, fighter and freestyle wrestler Leandro Lu was shot in the head by then Lieutenant of the Military Police Henrique Veloso after an argument at the venue. According to the initial accusation, based on accounts and witnesses, Leandro Loteria knocked Veloso down, who left, and then returned armed, shooting the fighter and even kicking him twice after he was unconscious.
What happened on the day of the incident? What happened is that I was alone. I left my area, went to a restroom, and returned towards the stage, and the group of fighters had already identified me as a police officer from another fight they had gotten into, and I had gone to help them on that occasion. I didn't know it was them. I was pulled by the arm. After being recognized, I was hit, I was beaten on the ground, and that's when I drew my weapon, acting as a police officer in an attempt to fire the single shot that caused this tragedy to preserve my life.
The case gained worldwide attention. In this week's trial, the judiciary
I don't think that's the real story, bro.
Understanding that he acted in self-defense.
Well, we can't listen to the Portuguese, bro. You want to listen to Portuguese?
The testimonies were shown by the defense, which argued that Veloso was attacked by the fighter who had immobilized him, and that the shot was a reaction to defend himself from multiple fighters and jutsu that surrounded him. The decision generated repercussions. Leandro's mother was outraged by the decision and announced that she will appeal.
Yesterday I buried Leandro for the second time. This is my feeling, the feeling of us, because it was such a great sadness, because
And we were so humiliated there, so massacred by the defense there, that lawyer and his team. They were constantly provoking us, humiliating us, you know? And we couldn't say anything. No, we couldn't speak out, right? He lied a lot. He invented his story there, guided by his defense. I want to thank you all for everything, for everything, for everything. The community of Gits has always been with us, everyone who loves Leandro. We are together. We will continue in this. We will appeal.
Lieutenant, Leandro's mother said she is distraught and will appeal. How do you receive this?
I understand. I perceive her pain. I don't know why. You're not in her shoes. It's regrettable. It was a tragedy. But we have to have humanity at this moment, understand everyone's pain. But know that at that moment, acting legitimately. I did everything possible to defend my life. I also asked that she understand on my side that I acted legitimately, and now proven by the truth of the people.
Are you afraid that the result will be changed in an appeal?
No fear whatsoever. The decision is what I said from
lawyer.
the beginning. He acted in self-defense. The Court of Justice of Sao Paulo will recognize the sovereignty of this verdict.
You have a clear conscience in this case.
Yes.
He said he has a clear conscience. Come on. Does anybody believe that guy?
Receives the news.
Does anybody believe that motherfucker? Does anybody believe, well, you know, Brazil's different, man. Well, the same thing here in America. If you got money and resources, who do you think they're more likely to believe? So yeah, I wish I don't know who her lawyer was. I don't know the resources. They probably didn't have a good lawyer. That's what I think. I think they probably didn't have a good lawyer. You're telling me all these guys couldn't have, all these jiu-jitsu stars that be hanging out together couldn't have helped to get a really great lawyer? There's nobody in Brazil, I'm not sure how the law works over there, but there's no great lawyer, law firm or nothing with people that train over there. He says, fuck him, what goes around comes around. Yeah, do you guys think that guy was telling the truth? Listen, my bullshit radar is, I acted in self-defense because, you know, I shooting somebody in the head in self-defense after the fact at a club, in a packed club. In America, you would be gone, bro. They would take your ass out of there. Somebody would have to take the fall in America. This fucking loser, bro. So I think he could have got off in America too, depending on the state. Yeah, possibly. You know, America is not much better. So unfortunately, sometimes people really take for granted laws in America. He would have pulled that. If he was in Florida, he would have got off. Dane Chopper says, in my state, you have a duty to retreat. If you retreat, then come back. Yeah, well, he retaliation is not self-defense. Did you guys not know that? Did you know retaliation isn't self-defense? Immediate retaliation? Yeah. The fact that he did that in a packed nightclub? The hell? Who was Leandro? I think Tellus was out there with him too. Tellus, how the hell do you let that motherfucker get away? I would have chased his ass. If somebody took my homeboy out, I'm taking them out. Or are they taking me out? Something gonna happen. I ain't letting that motherfucker leave the venue. I'm chasing him down. He's also letting off a shot in a room full of people. Well, he did a point blank shot. So here's Leandro, not to make fun of the situation, but he did point blank. Point blank. You gonna say that's self-defense? Yeah, it was point blank, bro. There's another video. Hopefully we can see that. We got about 30 minutes before I need to jump out of here. Let me take a little side track here. Someone said, what happened to Roberto Jimenez? We've been talking about Roberto all day, but that's fine. This is the Alec Balding News Network. Where's my sound effect? We got that was super loud. Jesus Christ, that hurt my ears. Welcome to the Alec Baldwin News Network. What happened to Roberto? He tore his hamstring. That's what it happened. Someone said Saul Bernardo post that he hurt his hamstring and needs surgery. There is a GoFundMe. Says I could be wrong, but my guess would be that he got injured, hamstring. Let's not jump to conclusions. He will probably need surgery. I think he hurt his hamstring and needs surgery. It says refusing to tap in BJJ comps without health insurance is the financial equivalent of riding a motorcycle on the highway without a helmet. He didn't get hurt. Training. Says needs surgery and he has no health insurance. This is America, aka the BJJ lifestyle. I feel like even with health insurance, it sucks. At least my deductible sucks, and I'm being charged $900 a month. So when people are saying why didn't he have health insurance at $900 a month, you kind of cooked. Jorge saying he probably won't be walking in the streets much in Brazil. He might go back to his job. So he won the right to keep his salary. So those 3 years he still got paid for. He basically got a vacation, a paid vacation. Dancer Die says jumping to conclusions if it was jumping off a boat. Yeah. Says LOL GoFundMe for a hurt hamstring. Get GTFOH. Land of the free. Tore his hamstring in competition in Guam against Alex Grandy from 10th Planet mid-October. I think you just made that up. Maybe it was already hurt. He competed in Guam. And there's also a charity workshop at Unity. So we just keep you guys updated on that. We read this. Someone says, as someone who had multiple friends murdered in Sao Paulo, Jesus Christ, and acquitted due to technicalities, this reminds me why the Brazilian justice system is a joke. It was made to protect only certain special people. What do they mean by special people? The rich people? Says, yep, sad. I think everyone was worried this would be the outcome. 3 years to arrive at such a bad conclusion is heartbreaking. Hoping life gives this scumbag what he deserves. I am and represent a lot of Brazilians in the U.S., and a lot of them are absolutely shocked when they're held accountable for anything in the justice system. From bills to crimes, it's ridiculous. By Brazilians, that's not me saying that. That's me reading that from some other poster. Danny Chopper says, well, I understand why people just take justice into their own hands in Brazil now. For someone who doesn't read or understand Brazilian Portuguese, what does the article actually say as to why this guy was acquitted? Self-defense. It was the classic shot in the back of the head self-defense move. What kind of self-defense? That's like I love Brazil, bro. I love Brazilians, bro. It was a classic shot in the back of the head self-defense move. How did we not see this coming? The jury accepted the guy's story that it was self-defense. Basically, the shooter said it was self-defense. Majority of the people doing jury duty agreed. At least four of the jurors pronounced the shooter as not guilty. It's hard at AF to find any actual facts in the testimony about this case. Every article just says the jury bought his self-defense story. Says, yeah, everyone's saying it was a travesty, but I don't know. Maybe he did defend himself. Oh, that's a troll right there. Nah, plenty of witnesses in history already known about the guy and his antagonism of Leandro and his girlfriend in particular. Uh-oh. It was a girl involved. I knew it. I knew there was a girl involved. There's always a girl involved, everybody. There's always a girl involved. And the Brazilian system is corrupt. Dude, just another murderer who walked. It says, hey, yo, are you the same dude that was sued for exposing himself to Zoom call of kids? What's going on Reddit, bro? You can't trust Reddit. Was that the same article? I might read that in a second. So it says, I was present at the jury trial, and although I couldn't watch everything, I saw a good part of the debate between the prosecution and the defense, as well as some of the testimonies. That's pretty wild. Yeah, he had some balls on him. So it says, I like jiu-jitsu, and I definitely see Leandro. I saw a good part of the debate between the prosecution and the defense, as well as some of the testimonies. I like jiu-jitsu, and I definitely see Leandro as a legend of the sport, but I also need to be fair. For 3 years, this case was under judicial secrecy, during which the police officer was forbidden to speak out, while the family and friends were free to share their version with the media and on social networks. The problem is that on the day of the trial, most of the testimonies actually favored the police officer instead of harming him. And contrary to what was written here, Leandro was not shot in the back. The shot was on the frontal and followed a downward trajectory, which proved that at the moment he was hit, Leandro was bending down to deliver another strike to the officer right after the officer had stood up from a previous blow. It says, watching the trial, I understood why they decided to quit the officer, and honestly, I would have made the same decision. I don't know about that. They said I believe Leandro was shot in the temple. Oh, so you're saying he was shot while he was on the ground, while he was on top? Oh, maybe he was. Oh, maybe. Do we get all the story? So you're saying Leandro was hitting him, and then he went to shoot him, and he shot him in temple from on bottom? Where did the bullet go? Wait, that doesn't mean I need some diagrams. Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't know. I'm reading it. I don't know. I don't believe anybody off Reddit though. It says Leandro was not shot in the back. The shot was frontal and followed a downward trajectory, which proved that at the moment he was hit, Leandro, that doesn't prove. Are you sure that proves that? I could see different. Listen. He says he already danced with the devil, shooting someone after instigating them. That's true, didn't he? Not surprising he went to a brothel afterwards. I don't believe this Reddit person. I'm not going to believe what they're saying. But it's interesting. It's interesting what he's saying. I need to see some ballistics. That is true. Are you saying you're pointing the gun like that? You can't even fire a gun like that, can you? That is true. Dance or Die got me there. Downward trajectory if you're on bottom? Yeah, you'd be shooting up, or you'd be shooting into your... Okay, imagine somebody got you mounted. You're not going to shoot down into them. You're going to hit yourself. You're going to shoot yourself. Okay, yeah. Dance or Die, he just proved this dude false. Yeah. He said the shot was frontal and followed a downward trajectory, which proved that at the moment he was hit, Leandro was bending down to deliver another strike at the officer right after the officer had stood up from a previous blow. Actually, it doesn't. You're right. They're saying he's going for another takedown, and that's when he shot him in the head. Come on, bro. Says, was there any consideration into the reason for the fight? Yeah, you gotta, yeah, execution. So because Leandro was lowered, he could have been tying his shoe. He could have been tying his shoe or fixing something, picking up something, cleaning up something. Brazil, come on, Brazil. Where's the ballistics? You got people making up shit over here, bro. Was there any consideration into the reason for the fight? I believe it was a girl. And was the cop allowed to shoot because he was a cop? He was off duty, even while not on duty. Or are guns allowed in Brazil and to be used as in self-defense by anyone? A travesty of the justice in Brazil, of all places. Who'd have thought? The article also says that the decision will be appealed, and the prosecutor thinks there were enough issues with the jury that the decision will be overturned. On the other hand, it also says the decision by the PM, I don't know what PM stands for, to sack him was also reversed, and he is technically employed again, although surely they will find another way to get rid of him. It says Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athlete celebrated Bolsonaro. Yep, Bolsonaro, Brazilians. That's like, he's like Trump. So I'm not saying not every Brazilian voted for Bolsonaro, but Bolsonaro, all my jiu-jitsu, I remember I was watching all my jiu-jitsu people. Remember when they gave him a belt? Let me find that picture. Remember when the jiu-jitsu people gave Bolsonaro? I remember watching that. I was like, what are you guys doing over there? Remember when all the BJJ people gave Bolsonaro a belt? Moneyberg style. Remember that? I remember this. I remember this. Remember when that happened? And they gave him a black belt? Remember when that happened? This guy took a champagne bottle off Leandro Lowe's table and started drinking it. That's the story I heard. They're at a club, packed club. Homeboy comes. You got a bottle, you drank it with your friends, you hanging out. This dude takes the bottle, he goes and starts drinking it. I'm not blaming Bolsonaro. But what happened when Bolsonaro got into office? They started kind of loosening some of the laws, right? Isn't that true? Didn't they start loosening some of the laws? Some of the laws and stuff. And the same laws that they loosened allowed this dude to just shoot Leandro. Remember Henzo was there? Henzo was there. Was Henzo there? I don't know if Henzo was there. I'm not blaming Bolsonaro, but I am saying he might have loosened some of those laws that allowed for this situation to occur. Provoking people so you can use self-defense is coward's behavior. Yep. Can't you get in trouble for that in some states in the U.S.? They probably would have acquitted him still. Depending on who you are, they probably would have still acquitted him. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athletes celebrated Bolsonaro and the culture of military and police going unpunished for murdering people in self-defense. Awful story, but there is an irony there they won't learn from. So that's what I was saying. So in supporting Bolsonaro, giving him, all the jiu-jitsu people were supporting him. That kind of gave the military guys and the police guys a little bit more courage to be crazy out here. That's what I think, but I could be wrong. It says facts. As a gringo who spends a lot of time in Brazil and has a network there, this is spot on. Like, how do you cry about a system that your hero Bolsonaro and Nicola Ferreira love? I don't know who Nicola Ferreira. It says also cops get a lot of sympathy since they die so much here. Okay. Oh shoot. So yeah, this case might have been, I'm surprised this case went so long. Same thing in America. Although cops don't die. Cops kill more people in America than anything. Not that I'm attacking cops here. Don't come after me, my police officers. Says he got messed up. He liked to beat up a layman in the street. He found himself. He found someone angrier than him for jiu-jitsu to learn that they are not bulletproof. So we got trolls on Reddit. Someone says if I were from Rio, I would have died a long time ago. Brasileiro defendo bandido. I think I understood that. It says the tramp put the policeman to sleep, took the risk of killing. The policeman returned the bullet and still came out as wrong. I'm glad justice was done. Yeah. We got some bots over there. Someone says, exactly, my friend. These people live in a fairy tale. In a fraction of a second, you lose your gun. He says the marginal's friend tried to take the police officer's gun. If the jury acquitted, there was a reason. He says, I'm guessing this guy will move to a different country. It's Brazil. Someone will take care of him on the side. Someone said, I met Leandro Lowe in 2013 at the CBJJE tournament. He just chatted with me and my teacher for more than 15 minutes and even talked about his passing guard strategy without ever meeting us before, casually, like we were longtime friends. He was a really humble guy. The day he died was a great shock for me. Brazilian justice always favors police and military. We never punish the dictatorship monsters who tortured and killed children, pregnant women, and young students from the 1964 to 1988. Many of them even got their names in streets and government jobs. We never punish the so-called guardians of society. Police just do whatever they want and kill a lot of common folks here. That's why I never go to jiu-jitsu comps or gyms ran by police and military and gently discourage any of them from showing up at my gym to train. Their culture by indoctrination is killing civilians and protecting the property of rich. That sounds like America. So they're getting a lot of sympathy, but I guess Brazil, you guys always had, every country's got history, but Brazil especially always had some history since the Portuguese got there. Someone says, wasn't this coward the one who beat, okay. Wait a second. He beat a motorcycle carrier. He thought he was more crazy than him. Change the subject, and you see manure. Okay, I don't know what that means. Someone said right click and you get English translation. I didn't get an English translation. So yeah, sad situation. I believe there is a video we were gonna watch. Where's the video at? Oh, this one. Hopefully we can watch without getting in trouble.
He was a hero, not in a figurative sense, but a real, tangible hero to a global community that revered him. This is Leandro Lowe, an 8-time world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
What we're gonna do, we're gonna go to Twitch to watch that before I get in trouble. But you know, just terrible situation, man. You got a couple people defending the police officer, but they, you know,